It was do or die. Every second crackled with tension. The New York Knicks and Indiana Pacers weren't just playing basketball. They were battling for pride, legacy, and a shot at history. Bodies flew, tempers flared, and every dribble felt like thunder. This wasn't just a game. It was war inside 4 quarters, early pressure and relentless intensity. The moment the ball was tossed in the air, it was clear. This night was going to be different. Jalen Brunson charged the floor like a man possessed, eyes locked, shoulders squared. With the first whistle, the Garden roared, but Indiana silenced it in seconds. Tyrese Haliburton sliced through the paint with ease, dishing a no-look pass to Siakam for an early slam that shook the rim and set the tone. Back and forth they went. No breathing room, no breaks. OG Anunoby smothered defenders like a shadow glued to their movements, and Miles Turner patrolled the rim like a fortress. The Knicks tried to muscle their way in early, dumping the ball, down low to Mitchell Robinson, who bullied his way to back-to-back buckets. But the Pacers countered fast too fast. Andrew Nembhard, calm and composed, pulled up from deep. Swish. 3 more for Indiana. It wasn't just skill, it was intensity. Full court pressure. Traps in the corners. The Pacers weren't giving the Knicks a second to think. Even Hart, known for his cool under pressure, looked rattled when the Pacers swarmed him on the inbound. The Knicks' early game plan? Shake them with brute force. Indiana's answer? Strike with speed and precision. With 5 minutes left in the first, the scoreboard tilted back and forth. Brunson hit a tough floater over 2 defenders, drawing contact and the foul. But Haliburton didn't blink. He came right back, crossing. Over McBride and stepping back for a 3. Bang! The Pacers bench erupted. Turnovers started piling up for New York. Miscommunication, rushed passes, bad spacing, all symptoms of Indiana's pressure defense. Siakam was everywhere contesting. Shots, running the break, and finishing strong. And when Robinson tried to settle things with a massive putback dunk, Turner met him at the summit. Rejection. Still, the Knicks wouldn't fold. Bridges, quiet early, exploded in the final minute of the quarter, with back-to-back threes, one off a scramble, the other in transition. The momentum shifted. The crowd could feel it. But Indiana had the final say of the quarter. Nembhard drove baseline, drew 2 defenders, and kicked it to Nesmith in the corner. Wide open. No hesitation. Buried it. The first quarter ended in disyamed, a deadlock, but the message was clear. Neither team was backing down. Bodies hit the floor, voices shouted through the noise, and the pace relentless. This wasn't just about skill. This was about who could outlast the storm. Shifting momentum and strategic surges. The second quarter opened with chaos. Indiana came out swinging not literally, but the energy said otherwise. Benedict Mathurin, off the bench, brought fresh legs and fire. He blew past his man on the wing and soared to the rim, finishing through contact. The Pacers bench erupted, slapping towels and screaming into the noise. It was a 5-point swing in just under a minute, and suddenly New York looked stunned. But the Knicks weren't going to fold. Not at home, not in this fight. Julius Randle, quiet so far, checked back in and immediately made his presence known. He bullied his way to the basket, bodying Siakam down low and finishing with force. The contact was heavy, no whistle. Randle let out a roar. That lit the spark. The Knicks fed off that surge. The Garden came alive again. Quickly hit a transition 3, Bridges forced a turnover. Brunson, back in after a brief rest, danced with. The ball at the top used a Robinson screen and banked in a high-arcing shot over Turner. New York had found their rhythm methodical, calculated, and deadly. Still, Indiana wouldn't go away. Tyrese Haliburton returned and took control. The game slowed, then exploded at his command. He ran the offense like a maestro. One moment, he was pulling defenders out with the dribble. The next, he was slicing a bounce pass through the paint to a cutting Isaiah Jackson. Boom. Dunk. Next trip down, he called his own number. Step back 3. Bottom. Haliburton was cooking. and the Knicks had no easy answer. OG Anunoby tried to stifle the rhythm, picking Haliburton full court. He poked the ball loose once, dove, on the floor, and forced a jump ball. The hustle was there. The crowd fed off it. But Haliburton stayed ice cold, responding every time. Another assist, another dagger, and then came a sequence that shifted the atmosphere. With 3 minutes left in the half, Brunson drove hard to the rim, rose for the layup, and was met in mid-air by Turner. Clean block. Ball flew out. Indiana recovered. Nembhard pushed it with speed, dished to Nesmith, who found Siakam trailing. He didn't slow down. He didn't hesitate. He just launched into the air and threw it down hard with 2 hands over heart. The arena gasped. Even the Knicks bench stood still. Timeout Knicks. Momentum felt like it was slipping fast, but right after the timeout, New York responded with grit. Brunson came back aggressive, slithering into the paint, drawing a foul and knocking down both free throws. On the next possession, Hart deflected a pass. Bridges recovered, and OG ran the break Euro step, lay in, and the foul. The Knicks were clawing their way back. Both teams traded buckets to close the half. Brunson hit a deep 2 fading to his left. Haliburton answered with a teardrop in the lane. Robinson grabbed an offensive rebound and jammed it in. Siakam responded with a step-through finish off the glass. It was chess. It was chaos. It was war. As the buzzer sounded, both squads jogged off with heads high, tied at halftime. The scoreboard couldn't separate them, and neither could the play on the court. Both were bruised, both were hungry, and both had no intention of letting up. The third quarter storm. The third quarter didn't begin, it detonated. Straight out of the tunnel, both teams hit the hardwood like they were chasing ghosts. The energy, the urgency, it had multiplied. Siakam came out firing. No warm-up, no feel-out. He took the first touch, spun off Randall, and nailed a mid-range jumper with authority. Next possession? He muscled past OG and kissed it off the glass. 4 quick points. The message: Indiana wasn't waiting around. But New York punched right back. Brunson, the engine of the Knicks, rose in the moment. He snatched the inbound, danced behind his back, froze Haliburton with a hesitation, and darted to the rim. Contact. And one. He pounded his chest as the crowd exploded. It wasn't just a bucket, it was a rallying cry. Then came Bridges, silent in the second, now a thunderstorm in sneakers. He hit one from deep, then another. The second 3 came off a broken play-loose ball. Scramble, kick out, splash. New York took the lead, and the momentum swung like a pendulum crashing into concrete. But Indiana didn't blink. This was their style bend. Never break. Haliburton, calm under pressure, slowed things down. He dissected the defense, waited for the screen from Turner, then delivered a laser to Nembhard in the corner. Wide open. Bang. 3 more. And then, in the blink of an eye, Haliburton intercepted a lazy pass from Randall, pushed it up court, and lobbed it to Siakam, who caught it mid-air and flushed it with one hand. Indiana was flying again. It was a track meet now. Possession after possession push, score, respond. Brunson to Robinson for a dunk. Haliburton to Turner for a pick-and-pop 3. Hart coast-to-coast layup. Nesmith answers with a corner triple. Nobody blinked. Nobody slowed. Defensively, it was chaos. Both teams tightened up, swarming ball handlers, trapping in the corners, diving for every loose ball. At one point, 4 players hit the floor on a single possession, scrambling, clawing, fighting for inches. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't clean. But it was basketball at its most raw and desperate. With 4 minutes left in the quarter, the Knicks made a statement. It started with OG. He picked Haliburton's pocket at midcourt, took it all the way, and hammered it down with 2 hands. Then came McBride, who drilled a corner 3 after a wild save by Hart. The crowd, uncontainable. And just when Indiana tried to answer, Brunson slid in and took a massive charge from Siakam, crashing to the floor and springing up with fire in his eyes. Timeout Pacers. But out of the break, Indiana punched back hard. Haliburton, frustrated by OG's defense, Went silent for 2 possessions. Then he exploded. Step back 3, nothing but net. On the next trip, he weaved through the defense, drew 2 defenders, and flicked a behind-the-back pass to Turner, who dunked it with fury. The Pacers were right back in it. The final minute of the third was madness. Brunson drove, got blocked. Ball tipped. McBride saved it. Bridges' corner 3 missed. Robinson grabbed it, fouled on the putback. Hits 1 of 2. Indiana down by 2. Haliburton races the other way. Kicks to Nembhard, drives. Baseline stop, spins. Hits a tough fadeaway. Over Hart. Tie game. Brunson rushed it back up. Split 2 defenders. Rose for the floater at the buzzer short. 3 quarters down. Nothing settled. No lead safe. Every shot, every pass, every rebound was beginning to feel like life or death. The pressure wasn't just on the court, it was in the air. And the fourth quarter was still to come. The fourth quarter opened with fists clenched and teeth gritted. You could feel it every player, every coach, every fan knew what was at stake. The tension wasn't subtle anymore. It was loud. It was thick. And it hit you like a wall. The scoreboard was even, but it wouldn't stay that way for long. Indiana came out aggressive. The first possession? Haliburton, of course. He took the screen, lost his man, and rose up from well beyond the arc. Splash. The Pacers bench jumped to their feet, but they weren't even seated again when Brunson answered. Isolated at the top, one-on-one, he backed down his defender, faked. Right spun left and hit a fadeaway off 1 foot. Cold. Tie game. Again. The battle had become personal. Not dirty, just intense. Bridges and Siakam jawed after a tough and won. OG and Nembhard tangled on a rebound and had to be separated. Turner and Robinson were in a constant war under the rim. Every rebound a wrestling match. The Knicks turned up their physicality. Hart crashed the boards like a linebacker. McBride picked up full court. Robinson contested every drive like his. Life depended on it. They were daring Indiana to match their energy. And Indiana, they didn't flinch. Haliburton stayed composed. The crowd booed. The lights got brighter, but he remained ice. He faked a drive, stepped back, and lobbed a perfect alley-oop to Isaiah Jackson. Dunk. The Knicks looked to respond, but Randall was stripped by Nesmith, who dove, secured it, and launched a full-court pass to Mathurin. He finished with a euro and a layup. Pacers by 4. Timeout New York. The Garden was tense now. Nervous. The lead had shifted, and the clock was no longer on their side. But this Knicks team, they didn't panic. They regrouped. Brunson came back out with fire in his eyes. First play drive, contact, and won. Crowd erupted. Then, a big stop defensively. Bridges jumped the passing lane, stole it clean, and went coast to coast for a 2-handed jam. Tie game. Roars all around. And then, chaos. On the next possession, Haliburton brought the ball. Up, called for a screen, but slipped. Ball loose. OG dove. Hart grabbed it. Fast break. Bridges sprinting. Alley-oop lob. Bridges catches mid-air adjustment, finishes. Knicks take the lead. But Indiana kept swinging. They slowed it down. Methodical. Haliburton drew the defense in. Kicked it to Nembhard in the corner. 3. Good. Again. Next trip down, Siakam posted up Randall, shoulder into the chest, turnaround jumper. Got it. The Pacers were surgical now. Every play felt like a dagger. New York had to dig deep. Brunson, exhausted but determined, fought through a double team, flipped it to Robinson, who slammed it in over Turner. Foul. The arena was shaking. The Knicks had life. And then, with just under 3 minutes left, the moment of the night. Brunson brought the ball up, defenders swarming. He spun through traffic, lost the handle, dived, tipped it to McBride. McBride kicked it to Bridges in the corner. Hesitated, fired, bang. Knicks by 2. Arms raised, crowd unhinged. Timeout Indiana. No one sat down, not in the stands, not on the benches, not even on the court. It wasn't just a game. Now it was survival. And the final 2 minutes would decide everything. Final minutes. Final. Heartbeats. 2 minutes. That's all that remained. 2 minutes to decide who blinks, who breaks, and who takes control. It wasn't about plays anymore. It was about poise, guts, and grit. This was the kind of finish you don't forget. Indiana had the ball, down 2. The possession dragged. Haliburton dribbled up top. Bridges pressing hard, shoulder to chest. Turner set the screen. Haliburton used it, but the Knicks switched perfectly. Now it was OG on him. He passed it off to Siakam, who had Randle isolated. Siakam made his move, jab step, fake, drive. He went up strong, and Randle met him at the summit. Blocked. Robinson snatched the rebound. The Garden erupted. Brunson walked it up slowly. He wasn't rushing this. Every second mattered now. He called for the clear out. 1-on-1 against Nembhard. He backed him down, pivoted, turned, and fired a high-arcing fadeaway over outstretched arms. Front iron. Missed. Rebound Haliburton. He sprinted up court, pushing in transition. 2 Knicks backpedaled. He crossed half, shifted right, spotted Nesmith in the corner pass on time. Shot up, missed. Long rebound bounced up. Turner tipped it, saved it straight to Siakam. Second chance. He rose up again. Fouled. 2 shots coming. Siakam stepped 2. The line. Crowd chanting. Booing. Waving towels. He bounced once. Twice. Shot 1 good. Now a 1-point game. Second shot short. Tipped. Rebounded by Hart. New York still led by 1. 1 minute left. 1 minute of mayhem. Brunson slowed it. Down again. He motioned Bridges to the corner. The building held its breath. Screen from Robinson. Brunson darted left, stopped, pivoted back, drew 2 defenders. Kick to OG, wide open. He fired. Back rim, no good. Indiana ball, 38 seconds. Haliburton didn't wait. He flew into the paint, crossed over OG, and hit a floater high off the glass. It dropped. Pacers up 1. Timeout Knicks. The building felt like it might burst. Fans stood, fists in the air. The benches were screaming. Everyone on the edge of their seats, of their nerves, of this game. Out of the timeout, the Knicks set it up carefully. They ran motion, trying to get Bridges free. No space. Brunson called for it, took it near half court. 20 seconds left. He drove hard, spun right, pump faked, drew the defense. But he didn't shoot. He dumped it inside to Robinson, who caught it clean and slammed it home. Knicks by 1. The clock didn't stop. Indiana didn't call timeout. 15 seconds. Haliburton racing. He crossed midcourt. 10 seconds. He gave it to Siakam at the on top. OG guarding tight. Siakam jabbed, tried to drive denied. Back to Haliburton. 5 seconds. Crossover. Step back. 3. Fired. In the air. Silence. It hit the front of the rim. Tipped. Time expired. Game over. The Knicks survive. Barely. And the Garden absolutely explodes.